fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and houseofboxing.com. Delighted today to be joined with Mr. Chris Eubank Sr. and Harlem Eubank. A big announcement came last week. You've brought your uncle Eubank Sr. onto the management team. First of all, we'll start with you, Harlem. How good does it feel so close to the Brighton date, the homecoming, that it's just added much more to the excitement for the fight?
Feels great. Feels right on time. For my uncle to be by my side going into this fight back home in my city, a place where he headlined 32 years ago on my birthday. 3 years later I was born, and we're heading back to Brighton to headline a big boxing card and bring big boxing nights back to the city.
Chris, how does it feel to be working with Harlem now and advising him in the way that you want to?
Well, I've always been actually working with him. Advising him as I want to, well, I've got to be very careful with that. I have fun conversations with him, and those conversations are based on the stories that I've been through, and those stories become experience for him, what to do and what not to do. So it's a lot of fun. The great thing about Harlem is that he's obedient. As a son, should be. Nephew I know, but more son in that, I lost my brother, he lost his father, and it's my duty now to actually be a father figure to him, especially in this, what they call professional boxing. Professional boxing is a very dangerous way of life, and it's run by unthinking people. I have to think about it because I know the damage that is done to fighters by these unthinking people who have their egos in front of themselves, if you will. And I want to bring back some semblance of normality in terms of the way structure should be followed, and that is the British Boxing Board of Control. We have to abide by their rules. And we have to abide by, their behavior. They look for decorum in the young men who are participating in the great game, what they call the great game of boxing. They're looking for majesty, grace, style, good conduct. They're looking for these men to be examples to the others. I became one, so why can't we all become the inspiration for, the guys coming up behind us and the guys who are standing alongside us?
With what you were saying there about boxing, it's full of all different characters. I'm sure in your professional career you've experienced, all different types of people, and even after your career, with the people that you've been around, have experienced all different types of people. How important is it that you make Harlem aware of these guys, and that sort of with your experience you can bring that on board to put him in the best sort of guide him in the best possible way?
Well, he's already aware, which is why I am part of the management team. Now it's about. He's tired of talking and he's tired of waiting. Okay, so I can talk and there's no more waiting with me. We're going to be in that ring minimum 6-7 times a year. Okay, so so he now he's lit, as he should be. All he needs is just a little bit of a flame behind him let's say wind, a little wind behind him. I'm that wind. That's right. And I'm gentle at his back, but I'm fierce in front of him, clearing the path so he can do and show the people what they are being deprived of. You're watching boxers today who can't box. They certainly don't want to fight because fight is actually walking into the fire. They haven't signed up for that. That's what he has signed up for. And so my objective is to actually allow him to show the people what it really looks like boxing. You can't compare the skills of these fighters you have today to Harlems.
Well, one thing I did want to say about you, Harlem, is obviously, you have a family that's illustrious with boxing and so much experience. But for you, it was, you was at Brighton on the weekend. That's really where it all started. You started playing for Brighton, and now it's almost in a way you're sort of playing catch up to the guys that are in and around you. Does it show how far you've came, that you're in and around these guys where they're probably more experienced than you are in a long career of boxing?
I started this thing late. I came into boxing at 18. And I've committed my life to it every day since that point in time. So I have been playing catch up, and I'm at a point now where I've learned my craft. I've dedicated everything I have to give to this sport, and now the stage is set for me to show the people what all that hard work has achieved.
When you see the such history of your family, how important is it that you embrace that name, and it's all the people that are around you that bringing Chris on board, that you embrace that your name, the family name has such a legacy, and you will sort of continue to push that legacy on more and more.
Yeah, it's a great, it's an unbelievable legacy that my uncle, the king of boxing in the UK, and globally, in my opinion, an inspiration to me to get into the sport, and a standard bearer in the sport for how he conducts himself and how he guides the people coming after him. And it's beautiful to have him by my side going into this next phase of my career where I'm coming into my prime, and I'm ready to put in them performances that make people stop and think, I'm going somewhere here.
It's not going to be stop and think. You see how humble he is? I'm not humble. Not like that. No, not just, this guy, he's brilliant. Okay, and if he wasn't brilliant, I wouldn't say it, because obviously I'll be standing next to him. To show, to help show the public what he is and what he can do. We're no longer looking at we are, or he is. So my job is to show just that he is, and all comers. We're first concentrating on who?
We want Conor Benn first and clear up domestically, and then go on to the rest of the world, to the US, in a division that's thriving, and I'm going to be a big part of that.
Did you just say Conor Benn? Well, wow. Yes, that's right. 147. This is his last fight at 140. Now he's 147. Now this is the right fight. You're looking for Eubank, Mr. Nigel Benn. Okay, well, now you have one. One that will not be boycotted. That's why the fight didn't happen and will never happen. Harlem Eubank, Conor Benn will happen. Okay, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. He's talked it up enough. Okay, but now you have a proper Eubank to go up against. Pick on someone your own size. Well, see me, we're there now. Okay, so again, okay, that is something. You have the British champion, the European champion, the Commonwealth champion. All these names will be cleaned up. First come, first served. So if that's you, Conor, then let's have it right.
When you hear a fight like that, Eubank Benn, so much history, and of course. But that started from yourself, yourself fighting Nigel Benn, and you've carved this legacy and you've formed this legacy that it will still live on today. And you now got another generation where we see Harlem potentially fighting Conor Benn. Seeing that sort of, you've created that legacy and see it carried on today must be so exciting for yourself to see that.
Well, I don't want to let the public down, because obviously, I spoke to the boss, and it's why the first fiasco happened when they were talking about Junior and Conor. Looking at the weight difference, it wasn't allowed. The British Boxing Board of Control didn't allow it. Even though it may seem as though they had nothing to do with it, they did. Okay, there is a boss who is in and amongst what happens with boxers in terms of weight differences. Okay, now this is the correct weight. Okay, so You know, the win that the father, Nigel, wants against the Eubank, you know, that feather that he wants, he only can get through, he only can get it through the correct ways, and that is at 147 pounds. So, you know, if Conor's up to it, if you're up to it, if you can go to the Boxing Board of Control and do what I had to do, which is bow to them. They are the law when it comes to boxing. You follow the Boxing Board of Control, you get your license, then that can happen. Up until then, you're blowing hot air, and you're wasting away your career. And you're having people say, well, what is he? You know, I know that you're a great fighter. I know that I've always supported you. I know that you have nothing to do with any drugs. You know, what you do is follow the rules, get your license, so that we can start talking proper business. Okay, all right, and that's a stadium fight. I guarantee you that.
With you saying that about the British Boxing Board of Control, is it scary what we see in the modern day where there's promoters who will want to try and overrule the board, you know, as we see with the Conor Benn situation, that, you know, promoters are essentially sometimes could be bigger than the board?
They don't try to overrule the board. They do overrule the board because they have lawyers and money. But it's wrong because it impacts on who? It impacts on the fighters. You know, weight, you know, 8 pounds is the difference between the weights. So when you have a weight difference of 16 pounds, it's criminal. It's criminal. It should not be allowed, and these people should be told to stop their nonsense. Okay? Again, and we're going to start it from Conor Benn against Harlem Eubank. Okay? It starts correct. Now there's a Eubank at 147 pounds. You come down to the fighting class that you should be in. Okay? Now, you take care of that, then you can go on your way, clean up America, as I intend for this young man to do and have the opportunity to do.
The Conor Benn fight is something, you know, I've always said it to you, we've always spoke about it. For it to be a proposition now, and you hear sort of the way that your uncle talks about the fight and, you know, the way you feel about the fight, it must be so exciting that, you know, this could be on the horizon.
Very exciting. This is the big fight that's, I think, was always meant to happen. I know that, and he knows that, and let's get it on. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and you know, Nigel, you can gruff and puff, you know, and be as aggressive as you are, and you too, Conor, because you have the same traits as your father. I admire you because you follow what your father says. You know, a son should follow his father into hell, as you are doing if the father says, you come with me. Okay, so I admire you for that. But your dad's wrong. Okay, I don't have any argument with him. I'm just saying he's wrong. Follow the Boxing Board of Control rules. You do not tear your license up. You do not tear up your license, and you do not say that I can't deal with them. You're not bigger than them. You know, they're the ones giving you a way through for you to become who you want to be. Okay, so I'm telling you the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go into spirituality of what we have spoken about in the past, but it's true. The truth will set you free. After that, let's have it. Let's have it right. Yeah, Harlem. That's the man for you. If you can beat him, which you can't, which I don't think you can. Listen, I'm behind him. Like your dad is behind you, I'm behind my son, my nephew, my love. So let me hear your response to that. Get your license and stop. Now you're effectively hiding by not getting your license. You're hiding. So how long are you going to hide now? Now I've called you out. Now he's called you out. Huh? Maybe you're just, maybe you're a rump. Maybe you're playing. If you're playing, we'll soon find out. Okay, all right.
Just the last one from me, Chris. Throughout your career, you know, your toughness, and when the pressure gets put to the max. You always had the ability to come through on top. When you see that now compared to the modern day, how much inspiration do you feel like guys like Harlem and many other fighters can take so much inspiration from your will to win and your character and your sort of integrity that you're not going to give up and you try do anything to get the victory?
Yeah, well, that's just it. You've got to stay in the fight until the last bell rings. If you want to quit, you're not allowed to. That's how you inspire people, and that's how you actually get to live the life of a king, where you enjoy your career over and over and over and over. Why? Because you did it the right way. What is the right way? The right way is to do it with integrity. Honesty is the key. Okay? Train and live the life of the warrior, not a playboy, not of a social media junkie. That's not what this is about. This is not a game. It's a way of life. And I want to go back to Conor. Conor has lived that life. He's real. He's not one of those misfits. I don't have anything against the misfits, because you've got to do something. The world moves on. But he's real, that Conor Benn. That's a fight I'd love to see. And now I have made the fight because we've talked about it. And the man is right here. So the person who's not actually stepping up to the plate right now is Conor, because he doesn't have a license. Why? Because he won't bow to who I had to bow to. I bowed to them. That's why I beat his father. That's how I beat him. I was obedient to the rules. That's what you're going to have to do to actually beat a Eubank. If you can't get a license, you can't have a fight. Okay, well, I'll leave that with you.
Harlem, Chris, I want to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. Really appreciate it. And all the best for the future and November the 10th as you take on Tino Schwarzkopf in Brighton. Thank you. Cheers.